The text message came through at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my corner office on the 47th floor of the Glasswell Financial Tower. My assistant had just brought in a fresh cup of coffee, and I was buried deep in analyzing portfolio performance when my phone buzzed with what would turn out to be the most devastating and expensive text my younger brother had ever sent me. "Hey Em, hope you don't mind, but I sold your Honda for $5,000. You never drive it anyway, and I really needed the cash. Thanks for understanding." I stared at the message for a full 30 seconds, blinking 3 times just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Then I carefully set my coffee down, leaned back in my leather chair, and let my eyes drift over the skyline. Daniel thought he had sold my old Honda. What he had actually done was steal and sell a 2019 McLaren 720S Spider, registered as a corporate asset of Ashford Capital, the investment firm I had founded and built into a $4.5 billion empire in just 6 years. The car was worth $350,000. I typed a one-word reply, "Interesting." Then I buzzed my assistant. "Clara, cancel my 4 o'clock meeting and get Michael Tran from legal on the line right now." While I waited, I pulled up the registration documents on my computer. Sure enough, the McLaren was registered under Ashford Capital, with me listed as the authorized driver. It was purchased for business purposes, protected under federal commercial theft statutes. Daniel had just committed federal grand theft auto without even realizing it. My phone rang. "Emily, what's going on?" Michael's voice was calm but sharp. "My brother just texted me. He sold company vehicle VIN 5HZYN 45CXN 01234 for $5,000. He thought it was my personal Honda." "Michael, he sold the McLaren." There was a long pause before he spoke again. "Emily, that's a major felony. This isn't just family drama. We're required by law to report theft of corporate property over $100,000 within 24 hours. The FBI is going to take this." "Then file the report," I said flatly. "Include the text message as evidence. Tell them they need to move quickly before the car disappears." "Emily, this means your brother will be arrested." "I'm aware, but the law is the law." After hanging up, I sat frozen in my chair, trying to process the absurdity. Daniel was 3 years younger than me, a furniture store sales manager barely scraping by, drowning in debt, and secretly addicted to gambling. He had always believed I was just his older sister working some boring finance job, living modestly in a small apartment. That belief was by design. For 6 years, I had cultivated the appearance of mediocrity, driving a used Civic to family events, renting a modest place, and never flaunting my wealth. No one in my family knew that I was the founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing firms on the West Coast. A second buzz interrupted my thoughts. Another text from Daniel. The buyer seemed stoked about the car. Said something about it being rare. "Anyway, thanks again for being cool about this," smiley face. I stared at the smiling emoji until the edges of my vision blurred. Somewhere out there, a stranger had just acquired a $350,000 supercar for $5,000. My brother thought he'd done me a favor. Clara knocked on the door. "Ms. Reed, Agent Laura King from the FBI Financial Crimes Division is on line 1. I picked up the phone. "Agent King, thank you for calling so quickly. Ms. Reed, I've reviewed the preliminary report from your legal team. Can you confirm your brother sold a 2019 McLaren 720S Spider without your permission?" "That's correct. He texted me less than an hour ago to brag about selling what he thought was my Honda Civic. The vehicle is registered to Ashford Capital. Do you know the buyer?" "No, but Daniel mentioned the buyer seemed unusually excited about the model. That suggests the buyer knew exactly what he was getting." "Which points to conspiracy," she said flatly. "We'll need to interview your brother immediately. Please do not contact him or anyone else until we've had a chance to act." By 6:30 that evening, my mother called me in tears. "Emily, something terrible has happened. FBI agents came to Daniel's apartment and arrested him. They said something about car theft. That doesn't make sense. Daniel doesn't steal cars." I closed my eyes. "Mom, I need you and Dad to sit down. I'm going to explain everything, but it's complicated." When I finally told them that Daniel had sold a company-owned McLaren for $5,000, my mother fell silent. When I admitted that I was not just some mid-level financial worker, but the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar firm, my father's voice cracked with disbelief. "Emily, are you telling us you've been lying to us for 6 years?" I didn't lie, I said. I just never told you the truth. I wanted to know who my family was when they thought I had nothing. And now, Daniel is facing a federal charge. Within 24 hours, Daniel had been charged not only with grand theft auto, but also conspiracy to commit wire fraud since the sale crossed state lines. He was looking at 10 to 15 years in federal prison. I hired Rachel Moore, one of the best defense attorneys in the city, but even she sounded grim. The only way out is cooperation. If he helps recover the car and identify the buyer, we may get a plea deal. The FBI soon uncovered that the buyer was part of a multi-state car theft ring. Daniel's cooperation helped arrest 6 people and recover over $2 million worth of stolen vehicles. The prosecutor agreed to reduce his charges to 1 count of grand theft, recommending probation and community service. But the damage to my family was already done. At a family meeting the following Sunday, I laid everything bare. My sister Hannah's jaw dropped when I admitted I'd been pretending to be poor. So you're telling us you're rich, and we never knew? I'm telling you I built something extraordinary while you all assumed I was failing, I said. And when Daniel needed help, instead of asking, he chose to steal from me. Daniel sat with his head in his hands. Emily, I swear if I'd known, I would have just asked for help. And then gambled it away, I shot back. This isn't just about the car, Daniel. It's about your addiction, your recklessness, your refusal to take responsibility. The room grew quiet. My parents admitted they were hurt I hadn't trusted them. But I reminded them they never asked about my dreams or goals. They assumed I was struggling because of how I lived, and they never looked deeper. Months passed. Daniel served his community service and joined Gamblers Anonymous. I offered him a position as a junior analyst at Ashford Capital under strict conditions. Any relapse, and he was out. The McLaren was eventually recovered, though damaged during the police chase that ended the theft ring. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to live openly. I moved into a penthouse, drove my luxury cars to family gatherings, and stopped hiding. My family, once blinded by assumptions, finally began to respect me. And Daniel, though scarred by his mistakes, was learning to rebuild. One night a year later, he called me. His voice trembled. Emily, do you think you'll ever really forgive me? I forgave you the day it happened, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means I gave you a second chance to prove who you are. And have I? He asked. You're sober. You're working hard. You're paying your debts. That's a start. He exhaled shakily. Thank you for not giving up on me. That's what family does, I said. But remember, real family doesn't steal from each other. In the silence that followed, I realized something profound. Love without respect is fragile. My family had always loved me, but when they thought I was ordinary, they never respected me. Daniel had stolen because he assumed my possessions were worthless, that my life could be disrupted without consequence. Now, after everything, our relationships were rebuilt on honesty, accountability, and respect. Sometimes the most expensive lesson isn't the one you pay for, it's the one you teach.